I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about some of the ways that you've seen some of this aspirational mismatch manifest within different engineering teams or engineering orgs. You've talked a little bit about like NoSQL and some other elements. Help us understand some of the concrete ways that this looks in different teams.
Well, another example in the same team that had us approach a brand new mobile social product by first of all building a NoSQL database approach. Also, the previous CTO had the team using queues. And so not only was the team trying to link databases together, link tables together, because it really was a relational data problem, and they were doing extra work for that, they were also doing extra work to put messages into queues and respond to those messages from queues and then have the client update its state. Because if you put a request into a queue, by definition, you don't get a response back with what the request did. So they had to add extra message tracking. They were basically building the relational database stuff they needed and the request response stuff they needed on top of this architecture that was supposedly more high tech than relational databases and HTTP interactions. So it was just an enormous amount of extra work. And when those choices were made, the company didn't have a single user. And it took 6 months for me after arrival to undo both of those choices and have lots of discussions about backing them out, do the tech work to back them out, so that by the time we had 1,000 users in our beta, we could go back to doing things in a simple way and work on whether we had product market fit at all.
It's so interesting to hear some of these different examples. And I think, I think you and I have talked about, we're going to shine sort of a light on a couple different manifestations of this sort of outside of technology choices, but we'll look at a couple different other ones. But I was wondering if we could talk about some of the specific choices within this particular example. Like what was missing from the conversation maybe in this particular example that maybe should have been introduced or asked ahead of time to, I guess, like switch the order of operations for thinking about the technology choice? Was there a different way that conversation should have gone to create a better outcome?
Yes, absolutely. The conversation should have been about when and why this company needed a particular technology choice, not whether a technology choice was good in and of itself. React is good. React is not good for everyone. NoSQL is good. NoSQL is not good for everyone in every situation. Every complicated thing you can think of has companies that it's best for, and then a long progression of companies or contexts or situations that it's less good for until you get to places where it's bad for those situations. So we could have talked about, well, what kind of data would be best suited to this clearly awesome, cutting edge NoSQL technology? And the answer would be data that's not very relational. Data that doesn't have a lot of interconnections to maintain works great in a NoSQL context. And then it would have been a lot more clear that our data was not like that.